is wet. That is wet. Still blocking. But it's done. Oh, forgot to put my glasses back on. So I can see. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from Crochet Creations. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is episode 17 of the Crochet and Knitting Podcast, where I like to talk about all things knitting, crochet, yarn that I'm working on. I have an episode come out about every 2 weeks here on this channel, so you can watch previous episodes. I'll make sure to link it up above. And I also do a lot of yarn vlogs, product reviews, things like that on my channel as well. So I would love to have you stick around for that. For this episode, I have a couple FOs, which I did not expect to have, honestly, and also some fun updates on whips to share with you and a couple fun little goodies as well. I do feel a little weird today. My husband just left on a business trip. This is his first time away from us as a family since we had Georgia, my daughter, and she is now 20 months old. She is closer to 2 years old than to 1 year old right now, and so it's been a long time, and it's a little intimidating being a solo parent for the rest of this week, and I'm literally exhausted, and we just dropped him off this morning, so we have a long week ahead of us. So I'm hoping I can get through this content and maybe relax a little bit, maybe even take a little cat nap to kind of refresh and recharge for 100% momming for the rest of the day until bedtime. So that's kind of what's going on with us, and I'll talk more about that later on in like more personal stuff, but right now I want to talk about my finished objects. This one I'm going to share. I'm so excited about it. It is honestly, it's still blocking, so it's really wet. This is my Drama and Energy by Graffiti, Lesley, and Robinson. Isn't that gorgeous? This is beautiful. Wow. That is amazing. So this is a brioche project. This blue-gray color is called Like a Dove from the Nook Yummy yarn. So that's a bulky weight yarn. And then the other one, the purple, I'll just flip it inside out so you can see a little better. The purple is Caron x Pantone in the color Purple Mist, also a bulky weight yarn. The textures of these two yarns I've mentioned before is very different. The Nook yarn was very fluffy and just had 2 plies. The Caron yarn had like 10 plies, and it was really smooth but also kind of stringy. I think it still worked out really well even though the textures were different. They both have some sort of wool content in them, and so that's why I ended up blocking. Also, so it smells good. But look at that stunning design. It is so mesmerizing to look at. It was mesmerizing to work up, and I just really enjoyed myself. I switched out my markers when I blocked it. So this is where, you can't even see it because it's so light. This marker is where I was at last podcast. I'm trying to be better about showing exact locations between podcasts. So I've done a lot of the hat. This has been mostly my Sunday knitting when I'm going to and from church in the car, or we do a Dungeons and Dragons game with my family over Skype, and so I would work on this while we're doing Dungeons and Dragons because that's during Georgia's nap, and so she can't interrupt. I just kind of powered through the last 12 rows maybe because I was just like, oh, okay, I can finish today, and so I did. It is so mesmerizing. It is bulky weight, so it's pretty heavy. The pattern calls for Aran, but I just didn't have any, and I wanted to cast on, so I cast it on anyway. I think these colors work really well together. It's such a high contrast. I love this pattern, and it has a really good fit on my head, nice and slouchy, but because of the brioche, it's just nice and stretchy, so it's really comfortable and snug on my head from what I can tell. It is very warm, so I haven't worn it like hardly ever, but I will definitely wear it to model it when it's finally dry and I can get some good pictures for it. I'm so excited. I feel like this is my favorite pattern from her recent book called Brioche Knitting for Beginners and Beyond that I got from Page Street Publishing as a gift to promote on Instagram just a little bit, and I love this design. If there was this pattern or something similar in fingering weight yarn for brioche, I'd be all over that. But I'm glad that I was able to get this done and to use up some of my yarn stash. This was all stash yarn. So proud of myself. Go me. My next FO actually is one that I was pretty close on previously. These are my prickly pear stripy socks. And you'll notice I did something different on the toes than I talked about last time. I was thinking that I was going to end in like mint or this dark green and just do the toe like that. But then I thought it might be interesting, since the very front of the sock I just continued the striping pattern. What if I just did that all the way to the toe? I was very much running out of this pink color, but I still did that and I managed. This is what I have left of my pink, my light pink. Very minimal. I was very lucky. I played some good yarn chicken. You'll see they're a little bit, this one's better, but this one's a little bit loose on my blocker. Also, I feel like the Fish Lips Kiss heel just doesn't look quite right on the blockers I have, and that's okay. It doesn't have to look perfect on the blockers, it just has to fit my foot. It is a little loose, my gauge was a little wonky, switching between the balls of yarn so frequently. I cut up a Stroll Gradient skein, the colorway is Prickly Pear, and it ended up being 4 distinct colors with just a little bit of gradient in between. So it was like a gradient across the entire 100 gram skein, if that makes sense. So I was able to separate the colors out and then do stripes. And now I'm in the self-striping sock mood because this was so cute, so fun, but I do not want to weave in all those ends. I literally counted, there was like 50 ends on each sock, and I tried to weave in as I went, but it wasn't perfect. Sometimes I forgot and I just didn't want to go back. Sometimes it was tricky with me measuring my yarn and like trying to do the socks in tandem with only single balls of yarn, so I still had to weave in a few ends in the end. But I do really love how the Fish Lips Kiss heel fits me, and so I definitely want to do it again for future socks and to try it out more. Yeah, my gauge is not phenomenal. It's a little bit loose, especially on that sock, but they still fit me well and they're still super cute. And when it is not 80 degrees outside, I may wear the socks. Normally I love wearing socks to bed, but here we do not have air conditioning, and so when it's warm in the summer, it is warm at night usually. So I've not been wearing socks to bed usually. So I am looking forward to the weather cooling down just a smidgen so that I can wear my socks way more frequently. But they're super cute and I am really happy with them. Made these as part of an upcoming video where I am reviewing Stroll yarns. They're different lines of Stroll yarn. So this is the Stroll Gradient, and I'm making socks for all my family. And I guess we'll move into our whips because that kind of is where we're headed. So like I was saying, I'm making socks for all of my family members for Christmas, my brothers as well as my parents, out of Stroll yarn. And I started my mom's sock. I'm only doing one sock for each person so that I can get the video out sooner, because I can always finish the rest of the socks later on down the line. I just need to finish by Christmas. I'm really good about finishing my knitting projects. Maybe not my crocheting projects. I have a whip basket tour coming really soon, so you will see I've got lots of crochet languishing whips. For knitting, I'm usually pretty good, so I'm not worried about like not ever finishing these pairs. I want to finish them for summer sock camp, so that'll be in Augusting, I think, after the video comes out. This is Stroll hand painted in the color Hummingbird. My mom is definitely a blue, teal, green kind of person, and it's micro striping, which is really neat. Got some cool pooling, how the colors are. She wants a long leg. I don't know how much I'll do. I normally do like a 40 round leg and a 20 round cuff are like the longer side of the socks I like to wear. For her, I might do like 60 rounds for the leg and 20 for the cuff, or 50 rounds and 20 for the cuff. I'm not sure because they can't go too high, you know. I'm still figuring out, but these are just kind of going with me wherever, and I can put in a few rows here or there. I definitely want to get more progress done on these. They're about the same size as my socks, same stitch count, approximately the same length, give or take a few rows, and so it's pretty mindless, which is really nice. I'm switching back and forth. My brother's socks were ankle socks, and I did find that sock. It was hiding underneath my bed. It had slid off my pillow and down behind. Thank goodness I found it. So I did an ankle sock for my brother, I'm doing a long sock for my mom, and then I'll do an ankle sock for my other brother, because both my brothers want ankle socks, and then I'll do my dad's sock, which is, he wants a long sock too. So I'm going to kind of alternate to try to mix things up a little bit, and so I don't save like the biggest socks for last, because that would get really old. We are in July now, so I do have to pick up the pace if I want to get these socks all done by the end of summer sock camp. I have a lot of sock whips, and most of them are not very far, so I definitely need to put in some time to kind of even it out so I have socks in different stages, because that is where I'm happiest, when I can kind of work on whatever stage I am in the mood for. This sock is actually going to be a sock tube. I've never done a sock tube before, but I really wanted to try. So I cast on this yarn. This is the Backcountry Knitter, and the color is Texas Skies, I think, and it came with a mini called Robin Eggs. And what I'm going to do, I already cast on a cuff. Where's that cuff? I found it. Okay, I already cast on a cuff, and I put the stitches on hold. So what I'm gonna do, because I did not like the idea of starting with a cuff, knitting a sock tube, and then ending with a cuff, so that my cuffs didn't match perfectly, because I knew that they would not look the same if I did one cuff down and like German twisted cast on, and one cuff I casted off on a stretchy bind off. So I did not want to do that. So I want to do 2 cuff down socks. And something that Maddie from We Share Needles has done for a tube sock is she'll Kitchener stitch a cuff that she's made cuff down. She'll Kitchener stitch it to the sock tube where she needs the cuff. So I'm going to do that so that my cuffs are in the same orientation, and hopefully we'll have very similar gauges and will look very similar because they will have the same cast on. So that's the plan. So I already did one cuff, and I have finished the second cuff, and I'm started on the actual tube part. I'm going to knit as far as I want. I'm not going to knit this whole tube because it's going to make a lot of sock. I don't like that big of a sock. I do like a shorter sock. Something like this, like a boot length, ankle boot length or something. And so I'm going to knit the length I need for 2 socks of the length I want. And then I'm going to finish my sock tube with a toe in my contrast color. And then I'm going to separate my sock out, graft on the second cuff, do afterthought, heels and toe. I'm going to do all that stuff. So that's kind of the plan I'm visualizing. And so now it's in the really simple, just gotta knit for like a couple hundred rounds to get 2 socks done. And I think I might try to do like an afterthought fish lips kiss heel, because I really enjoyed working it last time, but I don't know if I have the mental capacity for that. It shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too hard, right? My last sock, and I had promised you guys that I would show more for this sock, but I don't have a lot because I just am not very happy with it. So this is my red Yucca Socks. I am using Sundial Designs in an unnamed colorway I bought from Teppy Yarn and Fiber when we were visiting Arizona a couple months ago. I'll link the vlog up above. And I just loved the red yucca plant. I thought it was beautiful. The coloring was beautiful. It was so interesting, and I loved seeing it. It's a bright spot in my day when we were visiting around there. And this yarn was perfect for it. So I wanted to make some red yucca socks. I have a vision in mind of having a stem with like lace bits that go up, and I did something, and I don't necessarily mind it, but it's just not quite right. Here, let's put it on my hand so you can see a little easier. Can you see a little easier? So you can see I extended the twisted rib up for the stem, like that. And I even figured out how to do a twisted center double decrease to maintain that. So that was cool to learn that. And then this is the lacing I did, but I don't like it. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's not what I want for this sock. So now I've got to go back, and it's been kind of time out for a few days. I gotta go back, and I gotta frog, and I gotta redo and kind of figure out how I want to do the shaping I want to do, and if it's possible to get the look I want. I was thinking lace, but maybe not. I just don't know. I'm just kind of stuck. So that's kind of a bummer. They just look like little balls. That's not what I want. I wanted like more like an oval shape, and I wanted it kind of like slanted up. I wanted it to emulate the red Succa like petals or whatever. I don't know. I probably should rip out what I've got so I can have a clean plate, but it's just in timeout. So I made some progress on it, but I'm gonna undo some of it. I do really like the first few rows and how I did the pearls and the twisted rib and the twisted knit stitches. I do really like that. That is like the look I want. And so just gotta do like the next couple of rows after that to really figure out the pattern repeat I want to do. So gotta think about that. It's hard designing sometimes, especially when I have an idea in my head and I just can't make it work. I'm just not as proficient at knitting as I am at crochet. I'm still learning a lot for knitting, and it just is a different kind of brain work to design than to just follow someone else's pattern. And so I'm stretching that part of my brain, and it's got a big learning curve. Hopefully I will get it kind of figured out soon so that I have more to show you and I can really dive into it and really get the look that I want. But happy whip news, I worked on my Find Your Fade. Pat on the back. Go me. I'm so happy. I am proud of myself. So when I finished my brioche hat, Drama and Energy, I was able to move those needles back to my Find Your Fade. And so then I put in just a little bit of time on it. Not very much, because I've been working on another project as like my simple, mindless knitting that has more of a deadline. But I really just need to finish this. This is on my Make 9. I will link up above my Make 9 video so you can see the other projects I am hoping to make this year. And I'm definitely behind on it. I'm going to do a Make 9 list check-in video. I made a few Make 9 lists, a stash Make 9 list, a regular Make 9 list, a gifts to Make 9 list. And so I'm going to go over kind of what I've already made this year, how things are going with those lists, how my progress is. I gave myself the grace that I don't have to do everything on the list. But the problem is I still want to do everything on the list. At least I think I do. I'll have to see when I look at my list again. There's just not enough time to make all the things. But anyway, this is on my Make 9 list, and I am really feeling like this just needs to get done, so I just need to prioritize this more. This is my Find Your Fade. I started it in February. Okay, make it a little easier to see. Ta-da! So last time that I showed it, so that was like a month ago, I was right there, my little stitch marker. So I've done about an inch. Woohoo! My goal before next podcast is to finish this garter stitch section, which is maybe another 20 rows. Nothing crazy, but definitely something I need to spend time working on in the evenings, watching a few movies. In some ways, I will have less time this week with my husband gone and me being the sole provider for my daughter. 100% having to make all the meals, do all the bath time, entertain her literally the whole day. I'll have less of a chance to just like escape and get away before bedtime. Pray for me and my mental health as I am trying not to lose my cool with my daughter, because I definitely need to work on more patience in general. I do love her, but she drives me bonkers. Since I won't have like reprieves in the middle of the day as much, I won't have as much time in that sense. But in the other hand, I will have more time in the evening because I won't be spending time with my husband. As soon as bedtime's done, it'll be so nice to just not have any other strings attached, and I can do literally whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, however I want, until I decide to go to bed, which hopefully will be a reasonable hour. Less coordinating with other humans is always nice and relaxing to be able to spend time with myself. As I grow older, I realized I am much more introverted than I thought I was growing up, and so it'll be good to have some time with myself, and hopefully with my Find Your Fade. I do really like it. I love this color palette. I think it's stunning. The yarn that I'm using for my Find Your Fade is Sorella yarn from their fall tonals last year. I'm using ceramic. Cashmere Studio is the like more rich pink color I'm working on, the berry color, and then Videri, which is based on chocolate in their area, is the next color I have. So those are the 4 colors I have for my shawl. Ta-da! This is my palette. I just need to spend more time on it. Oh my goodness. Slowly but surely is great, but I need to finish it by the end of the year, or else I don't think it'll ever get done. Do you have any very long-term whips like that? The project that has been taking most of my attention when I need something mindless. I've made a ton of progress on this. This is my Peekaboo Maxi Skirt by Knititude. She has a lot of really great beginner-friendly patterns that are also very modern and chic feeling. And this is how far I got, which is awesome. And now you can really see how this colorway is working up. Oh my gosh, it looks so nice. This colorway is so stunning. It's hard to hold it up for the camera. This colorway is so stunning. It is Winnie Jo Fiber Co. in the color English Garden. Yes, English Garden from her wedding inspired mini collection. I finished the first 2 skeins. Finally. Yes, finally. This is where I was last time. I got so far. And I'm honestly really close to being done with the stockinette part of the skirt, and then I'll move into some lace detail, and then there's like a little border on the bottom. Problem is, I need to figure out what fits me based on where I want my waistband to sit and like how long I want the skirt to be in general. So that will change the measurements of how I want to do it. Also, I am kind of nervous that this is gonna block and stretch a lot. So I think I might try to go pretty close to where I think I need it to end before the lace, and then I'll block it, even though it'll still be attached to my balls of yarn, and then I can measure the difference in length after I block it, because this is 100% superwash merino, and so it'll relax a lot when I block it, and then I'll be able to see how much more I should add on before I start the lace. So I'm making some really good progress, but yeah, I should probably just block it and do that math comparing the before and after length, so then I can figure out how much longer I need to knit to get it to the length I want before I start the lace. So exciting. I'm so excited. I love it. It'll be so beautiful. Perfect for summer. I've been prioritizing this project because I need more skirts in my wardrobe, and this is the perfect summer palette that I'm loving right now, and so I really want it done in time for me to wear it a lot during the summer. So that's been getting a lot of attention from me. Ooh, maybe I'll even get to the lace by the next podcast. That would be so exciting. I'm really making some good progress on it. So that feels really good, especially when I feel like other things have not seen as much progress. It feels good to like, I finished something and I've gotten really far in this project. Ideally, I would only have a handful of projects. How big is a handful? It's so big. Ideally, I'd only have 3 or 4 projects on the go, but it's summer sock camp, so I need 1,000 socks, clearly. And then it's just really hard working on one garment for a really long time. It's nice to be able to switch things up. So I actually have another garment that I've casted on. Well, does it count? I knit a gauge swatch and I blocked it and everything, but I haven't measured it and I haven't cast it on, but I need to do that. Maybe that'll be my after bedtime treat to myself today. But look at this yarn. This is Knit Picks Aloft. It's their mohair base. It's the Aloft hand painted in the color Seoul, as in Seoul, Korea. It's so beautiful. It's like all the like pinks and yellows, light pink, dark pink, so pretty. I am holding this double to make the souffle by Laura of Penrose Knits. I test knit the petite souffle, which is just a DK weight for little ones type of a pattern. This pattern is written for mohair only, and I didn't want it to be sheer on top, so I'm going to hold a double throughout. I got extra yarn to hopefully make sure that I don't run out. So what I'm going to do is knit pretty far on the body and then finish the sleeves up so I don't have to worry about yarn chicken, and then I'll just make the body as long as I can with the yarn I have if I happen to run out. I really love these colors. I'm not sure how I feel about the color pooling. I might have to like figure out a different way to hold my strands together, or maybe I'll alternate 2 strands and 2 strands to kind of change the pooling. I'm not quite sure yet. So I should figure that out so that I can cast on and get this garment going so I have something to work on. I haven't casted this on earlier, even though I wanted to, because I was waiting for the More Souffle Please knit along that Professor Pearl is hosting, and that started June 15th. But then again, why didn't I start on June 15th? Because it's been freaking hot here, that's why. And I don't want to touch mohair at all when it's 85 degrees or higher than that. And so the other night it was gloomy, it was cold. I actually put a sweater on over what I was already wearing because I was that cold, and it just seemed like the perfect night to play around with some mohair and get started on this pattern. So I honestly don't think I'll finish this before it really cools down in the fall. Every evening from here until the weather's actually cold, when the weather cools down a little and it's a little bit chilled and I feel like being cozy, then I'll probably pull this out and just work on it a little bit at a time. So I don't have a deadline for this because I know that I won't wear it for a while. Kind of like my other mohair sweater, my no frills, which I also just kind of put on the back burner because I won't be wearing it for a while. Yeah, I gotta finish some things, don't I? I need more knitting time. But I am excited about the souffle, and I've been waiting to cast it on, and it just felt like the right time, so I did. Let's move into some fun new yarn goodies. I don't have a lot to share, but I have some things I'm really excited about. I feel like I say that every week. I'm just excited about yarny things. Can you tell? I'm gonna share this first before I forget the names of things, but Little Owl Designs did a teeny tiny designer sweater stitch marker collection out of polymer clay. And so what she did is she recreated sweaters that are popular within the crochet or knitting community and collaborated with those designers to make these little sets. And so cute. There was a bunch that I was really interested in of different projects I wanted to make. The one I bought is not a sweater I've made. It's not a sweater I plan on making, but I love this color palette and it was just so fun. And I'm also just interested in polymer clay, and this one was the most intriguing to me. This is the teeny tiny patchwork sweater. There we go. Shield. Can you see the colors? So fun. I love this color palette. This is just so cute. It is so cute and fun. And so I got this and I'm really excited to use them. Great for sweater knitting. I'll definitely make sure to link the actual sweater pattern down below, as well as put it up on the screen, so that if you're interested in making the real version of this, that you could. But yeah, there's all sorts of different cute teeny tiny designer sweaters. So fun. So I'm really glad I could support my friend Liz and buy a set of those. I only have one skein of yarn to share with you. This is very different than what I normally buy. Well, okay, it's a skein of sock yarn, which is not uncommon, but this is a skein of vegan sock yarn from LaRue Cotton. It is a bamboo cotton elastic blend. It's called Wilted Flowers. It's from her new Love and Heartbreak collection, was her most recent collection. And the texture is just so interesting. It's like all spirally on each other, very elastic. And I've heard that this is an amazing base for socks, and some people only like vegan yarn for socks just because it's a very different experience than knitting with wool. And so I'm really excited to try it out. I do really enjoy LaRue Cotton and supporting them, and this color was just so interesting. I'm excited to see how it works up. And I think it'd be fun to maybe try out a couple different vegan sock yarn brands and maybe get a skein of yarn from a bunch of different ones and compare and contrast. Would you like to see a review on how a vegan sock yarn works up like this? I can already see like the texture, the composition. It's all different than sock yarns I'm used to. So very fascinating. The very last thing I want to share with you that I recently got is massive. It's literally the biggest magazine I've ever gotten before. It is ginormous. So this is Rowan issue 52. Now, if you get Rowan magazine or if you've seen it around, they are well beyond issue 52. This is from 2012. Why do I have this issue? I will show you. I have on my gift make 9 list a sweater, a cardigan for my husband, and he has helped me pick out the cardigan that he wants me to make. It is only found in issue 52 of Rowan magazine. I can't buy it online, which is really frustrating, and I ended up having to look all over the place. I found it and someone was destashing it on Ravelry, so they sold it to me for pretty cheap, and so I finally found it. I got it. Yes. So excited. This is the sweater I'll be making. Sorry, it's so big. Okay, this sweater is called Viking. It's got this really cool texture, alternating, and also a shawl collar. I will be making it in a bluish color. I bought some yarn from Knit Picks that should be coming any day now to make that. Again, I'm not making it right now. I have a pair of socks I'm going to make my husband for his birthday, which, ooh, maybe I should start that this week while he's out of town. His birthday is the end of August, so I need to start a pair of socks for him. That'll be his birthday present. This cardigan is going to be a Christmas present. And so after I finish the socks, then I will start the cardigan. But Knit Picks was having a sale, so I figured I would throw this yarn in my cart and got like 20 skeins of whatever I need in order to make this cardigan. So I have the pattern in this massive magazine, and there's also like, I swear there's like 50 patterns in this. There's like 3 different big collections. So there's tons of things in here. So I'll have to do some poking around and see if I want to make anything else from this magazine anytime soon. Like I said, I already have a lot in my queue, so I'm not quite sure. Really interesting, lots of really neat patterns, and I'm really grateful that I'll be ready to go whenever I am about to start that pattern to make for my husband, that I will have everything I need. So excited I could find that, because it did take some looking around to find it. So happy about that. That's all I have for new yarn goodies, actually. Not very much. I do try to pace things out so that I would hopefully get, I like receiving things in the mail. And so I try to pace things out so that I'm constantly looking forward to the next package to come in, which in this case is my Knit Picks order that should be coming in today. On to life stuff. My husband is taking a work trip, and he'll be back. By the time this video goes up, he'll be back. So it's not a super long work trip, but it is still like 3.5 days of just me and my toddler. I got a bunch of different like crafty activity kits the other day for us to do together, and I also got a couple things from the dollar store this morning that I thought we could have some fun with, and hopefully we can keep each other entertained. I'm a little bit nervous. I just need to make sure I have a lot of time for self-care so I don't get burnt out, because I already sometimes get burned out with having a toddler. We shall see how this week goes. I'll be sharing quite a bit on my Instagram, so if you're not following me yet, then definitely head on over there. I am almost to 2,000 followers on Instagram. Love to have you join me over there to see my updates on what I'm working on, and to get the first sneak peeks on designs and finished objects and whips and all that good stuff. We haven't had much going on. We've been to the beach again. Okay, this was super fun actually. So the fanciest fast food restaurant in the country, as told by some random news article that my husband found online, is a Taco Bell on the beach that happens to be 45 minutes from our house. And so for 4th of July, we went there. We went to Taco Bell, super, super fancy. Like, they even sold alcohol there. I've never seen a Taco Bell sell alcohol. And it had like a fireplace inside. Like, it was really fancy. So we went there and got to eat out on the patio and watch the ocean. And then we went on the beach. There's a state beach right there. And so we just hung out, had so much fun. It was just so good to spend time outside at the ocean. It's becoming one of our favorite things to do. Even if it's not super duper hot, it's still really fun to be at the beach. So we really enjoyed that. Did not feel like celebrating America this week for many reasons. And if you've been affected personally by the recent SCOTUS decisions, if you're not aware, the United States Supreme Court finalized their decisions and published their decisions regarding many cases that they chose to take on this term. I don't know what that's called. They released a lot of very upsetting decisions. It honestly feels like the country is moving backwards in the treatment of its citizens, in the treatment of its mothers, in the treatment of its children. Oh, and here comes the garbage. Georgia will be really sad she missed the garbage truck. Okay, the garbage truck is gone. But anyway, there's so much to be said. Lots of emotions are being had. I don't want to go into it too much because I'm just not feeling up to that. But I will say that I think it's really important to have compassion for where people are, what they're feeling, and what they value. There is lacking compassion for a lot of these issues, and I think that is where a lot of the decisions from SCOTUS come down to. A lack of compassion and a lack of understanding for other people's experiences. I encourage you all to treat one another kindly, to see the best in each other, to be compassionate towards one another, and seek to understand even if someone else has a different experience, because so many people have different experiences than you, and they're all totally valid, rather than discrediting them and telling them that the things that they're feeling or the things they believe are not correct. Be kind, be compassionate, try to be understanding, and I think that in general has shaped the way I see the world and the future of the world that I want, which is not where it's heading right now. Also, make sure to get out and vote. Make sure to register, make sure to get out and vote. It's not just about the national elections, but it's about all the local elections too, because certain rights are going to the states. There are some things that need to change. Certain decisions have definitely been hot topics. If you look at all the decisions that have been made, there are a lot that are troubling. But I want to create a better world in my small little sphere of influence with the people that I interact with in person, as well as here online, as well as like in the grand scheme of things. I want the world to be a better place, a safer place for all, not just for the privileged few, not just physically safe, though that is so important, but mentally safe, emotionally safe. So there's a lot of work to be done. I encourage you to figure out what it is you can do to do so and be that good in the world. In the world in a small sense as well as in the large sense. Whew, okay, that was really heavy, I'm sorry. We don't have too much else going on. I have a lot of exciting videos planned I'm really excited for. And I wanted to talk a little bit about books that I'm reading. So I finally finished The Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in the Six of Crows duology. I enjoyed it. Made me sad, but I enjoyed it. And I'm glad I got back into it because I blew through the second half of the book. It just had a slow start for me, I guess. And I'm also reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. That is the book of choice for the More Souffle Please Make Along? Knit Along? Knit Along. And I am really close. I only have 20 minutes left of the book, so maybe I should do that during the rest of the nap time. That would be nice. And I've enjoyed it. It is a translation from, I think, a Japanese book. And so some of the vernacular is like a little awkward, the way that they talk about things. But I think that's just, you know, a difference of the way that Americans speak versus the way the Japanese speak. And so the translations, even though are accurate, it just doesn't feel the same. It's very clear I'm not reading an American story, I guess, if that makes sense. Just the way that things, the syntax and the way that things are described and stuff. So it's refreshing to be reading something different. It's a bunch of different short stories, and so that's been nice. It's not a super long book. It's now starting to get into some like medical issues that people have, whether it's like a historical thing or whatnot. As someone in the medical field, I really hate reading about that because it's never accurate, and it's hard to know whether that's like, oh, it's just someone telling a story, and because they don't work in the medical field, they can't relay the information correctly, or whether someone just has no concepts and so they are saying something inaccurate. Does that make sense? Does anyone else work in the medical field? I feel like now that I'm a nurse, I've always wanted to watch Grey's Anatomy, but now that I have training, I don't want to watch it because I know that all I'll see are the fallacies and the mistakes and the misinterpretations, because I like the real stuff. I really love case studies. I like hearing about people's actual personal experiences and knowing exactly what goes on. I could never be an ER nurse because I really love following through on people's course of treatment and seeing the outcomes. I love seeing the whole process. I don't like to see them when they're sick and then ship them off to the unit and never think about them again. I might end up working in the ER one day, but I really do like the process and learning the whole health story of someone. And so it's hard to read books or to watch movies that go into health topics because they are never that accurate. So that's been a little bit of a struggle to get through right at the very end of this book, but I have enjoyed it. It's definitely given me things to think about personally, as far as like, what would I do if I had a chance to go back in time and spend a couple minutes with someone that I care about? What would that look like? I'm not sure. I need to read more books. You guys left some awesome recommendations on my last podcast, and I would love any more recommendations that you have. I'll tell you just some books that I've loved. I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Really interesting story. I really enjoyed that. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle was like a mystery thriller. Love that. The Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. Love that. I do like mysteries, but there are a lot of mysteries out there I don't like. I liked The Midnight Library. Oh, I liked I like some science fiction fantasy stuff too. And there's a series I'm thinking of that I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it on the screen because I really, really love this series. And I had like even a novella as part of it. It was really fun to read. I gotta figure out what my next book to read is. I'm also not sure what I'm in the mood for. I do want to keep reading, and I just need a reason to read something else. I do have a bunch of books that are on my shelf of TBR, so maybe I should just pick a random book that I have on my shelf and see how it goes. I have a lot of books that I need to read. I either need to read soon or I should just clear out of my life because they belong with someone else who's going to read. So that's all that I have to share with you for now for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I always love sharing with you and connecting with you, so definitely make sure to comment down below any projects that really stood out to you, any things that you want to talk about related to what I shared, even with like life and personal things. I always love chatting with you down there, and I'm so grateful for this little community, and I pray that we can continue to grow and lift one another up and support one another in our making journeys. If you want to stick around, I would love to have you. Definitely make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever I post a new video. I'm trying to get back on track with my Friday videos and occasional Tuesday videos when I have extra content to share. The summer is busy and things are a little chaotic, but I'm doing my best to keep with that schedule. Definitely make sure to like and share this video so that other people can be connected with my content, because we would love to grow the community here. And until next time, happy making. Bye.